Please, someone help!
These are human lives! That's just wrong! They have families, children! They're our friends and we're watching them!
Not subscribe.
Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by Adakai TCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code Kaizoku for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. See the most up-to-date Eastern and Western decklists on gumgum.gg, updated daily. Be the first to see decklists for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 decklists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, we're less than 4 weeks away from OP13 releasing in the West. And in my PRB02 video yesterday, you guys were really curious about OP13. I saw quite a few comments about it, so I thought I might as well cater to you guys. Let's do an OP13 meta-analysis. So it was brought to my attention that the way that people were playing ranked with PRB02 was queuing on Eastern. Even after the sim updated to PRB02 on the 7th of October, people were still having to queue Eastern for PRB02 via the rank system, so that's why the stats were kind of weird. It looked like no one was playing PRB02 on ranked in the West. It could still be that case. It seems like the overall play rate was just lower than in general, but we'll give it a week now that everything is PRB02 on the West, even on ranked. We'll just give it some time for it to sort itself out now during this intermediate and kind of like weird, yucky, messed up format that we have. I thought for the Eastern queue, since if we take a look at Eastern last week for just private games, I think it's gonna get messed up with like green purple Luffy and stuff like that showing up at the very top. So just to kind of stamp out that kind of noise, let's just take a look at Eastern last week for all, not just private games. And I think this looks more indicative of what you would actually see for an OP13 meta that doesn't have that weird PRB02 like weirdness baked into it, right? I think that'll be gone come next week, so we'll take a look next week when it's all more clean for just ranked data. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to take a look at all Eastern games for the last week, and this is going to be what OP13 might look like for us. So up at number 1 is Zoro, followed by Red Blue Ace, followed by Roger, followed by Imu, followed by Sabo, followed by Bonney, and then Green Purple Luffy. Blue Purple Luffy after that at 8th, Red really at 9th, and then Bonney caps things off at 10th. Now again, this Green Purple Luffy could be due to the PRB02 skewing of data here, but I think everything else seems to show, and it seems to be following the trend of what we see in the East. Now, yeah, again, this is not ranked game, so it's not like the best caliber players, but I think overall in general, though like the like order of the top 5 here might shift around, I think it still like skews to the actual top of the top meta for OP13, if that made sense. So let's take a look at some sample deck lists for some of these leaders. So yeah, we already know Green Zoro, Ace, Roger, and Imu are like kind of the top 4. Sabo being up here is kind of debatable. I don't think he is a top 5 deck personally, but I would say at least a top 10. So take a look at Sabo. Sabo is my most recent deck breakdown, by the way. You can check it out. Also, this ranking is on my website, kaizoku.com. Check it out there if you'd like. I think Bonney would be interesting to see. Green Purple Luffy too. And then Blue Purple, how they're doing in OP13. And then we'll take a look at Bonney. And then I guess we should probably take a look at Red Green Luffy, wherever he is. Okay, he's down here, not too far down. So that'll be our data set to look at for this week. And then again, I think once next week rolls around, I would say like, what is it, October 20th? I think the data will be a lot more separated neatly and not mixed together like this. So be on the lookout for that next week. Okay, so Zoro for the last week of all Eastern games has a going first win rate of 55, going second at 56, giving him an overall win rate of 55.91. Again, same as he is now, even with OP13 cards. It's just a good overall deck in general. Whether you're going first or second, it doesn't really matter. You're kind of consistent, right? I think that's the strongest point about Green Zoro, taking it to the tournament. You're not going to get screwed over by dice roll. So good into Shanks, good into Sabo, good into Roger, good into Blue Purple Luffy. Does good into Imu if you go second, but you kind of lose him going first, and then, or them, they don't know the gender of Imu. What is it, week 2, week into Rayleigh, and then luckily it seems like the decks like Enel and Yellow Kid and stuff that would normally beat Zoro has fallen out of favor in OP13, or at least it's not as popular in play. Now that like there's not just Zoro as the boogeyman and Blue Purple Luffy as the boogeyman, there's also now Ace and Imu. So that actually kind of helped Zoro in a weird way, right? So let's take a look at what Zoro runs in OP13. So this deck list has 1,008 T5 games played. I don't know why I brain farted saying that number out loud. And then the 454 pilots. Here is the matchup spread for this particular deck list for all Eastern games in the last week. So let's open it up in our deck builder, which is accessible via my website as well, kaizoku.com, up here, top left here. I coded this. So this deck list only runs 2 Apu. I run this as a 4 of in my deck. So the reason you run this Apu is just to have an emergency way to bounce something back to your hand with the 6 cost law, which is a new OP13 card. It turns that Apu into a 5-drop. Even in the 5-drop category, it looks like Cavendish isn't even a 4 of anymore. And then they're also running 2 of this Zoro that, yeah, it's a viable 2k counter you can run instead of the Apu. This is great in the mirror because when your opponent is trying to rest your Zoro, you rest one of your other characters instead and have a blocker up. It does run this one of cheeky OP13 Shanks. I mentioned it as a tech option in my Zoro deck breakdown video. It's a valid thing you could just include a one of in your deck for. It's searchable. I just don't really see it as like a win condition at all. It's like a nice thing to just poop out. It's not consistent at all because you're running it only as a one of. So that's why like, oh, why run it at all? But that's just me. I prefer running 2 Dead Man's Game, but people are on the 1 DMG kind of train here. And also the 0k, 0 cost 3k counter. I don't run this just because I feel like we don't run too many bricks at all anyway in the first place, right? Only 15 in this particular deck list. I don't feel like you need this kind of card in a 15 brick kind of deck. But other than that, like the standard Zoro package. Oh, they're even running the Toshigi. Sorry, I'm having trouble. I'm starting over my words. I just woke up from a nap actually. But I guess, yeah, Kozaburo isn't so like imperative in the deck that you couldn't run Toshigi instead, just for some extra protection. So yeah, I don't hate that. That's valid, I would say. Like Kozaburo is like the most, like, how do you say, inconsequential 2k counter. It's just searchable. That's the reason why it's run in this deck. And then for Kuina, yeah, I see people either run 4 or 2 of this, but this is the most popular Zoro list on the last week of the Eastern Sim at the very least. So the price of the deck via the show prices button here in my deck builder, $78 for the available cards, and then we'll know the full price of the deck once OP13 releases and this Zoro and this Law is released in TCG Player. Oh, and this Shanks too, I guess, is one of, it's an SR though. But yeah, actually a very relatively cheap deck due to the fact that this Cavendish has been reprinted in PRB02. So yeah, 14 bucks for 3 copies of it. That's crazy. And then if you wanted to buy these cards yourself, each of these shopping cart links that you see here will take you to the TCG Player page for that version of the card. So if you did want to bling it out a bit, like this Learn Together deck set Zoro, you could just switch it via this like cycle art button. I don't know, like this is the only kind of symbol that I thought would make sense. This like loop symbol here. And then yeah, that'll just change the version of the card that the shopping cart links will take you to. And then for your convenience, there's a mass entry button here. You click that, it'll copy the entire deck list of the current available art and a current available card, so it won't include these non-priced OP13 cards, and it'll copy it to your clipboard. Once you get to TCG Player's mass entry form, which this button will take you there, you just Control V and then add the entire deck to your cart via one click. Very easy, very convenient. So if you're lazy, that's there for you guys. And both of these methods go through my affiliate links if you guys want to support me and want to do it in a passive way. Like if you guys were going to buy these cards anyway, this would be a great way to just help me a little bit, and I would really appreciate it. Okay, so let's move on to the next leader. We have Red Blue Ace going first of 49.19% win rate, going second 60. So you do want to go second. It really does matter for this leader. Giving him a raw win rate of 55.59. Though going first, you're only like slightly disadvantaged. So good into Shanks, good into Smoker, good into Bonney, good into Green Purple. Good into Imu if you happen to go second. This is true for Zoro too, it looked like. Weak into Bonney and Zoro, so weak into Green, and also weak into Blue Purple Luffy going first. Also weak into Sabo going first. Yeah, Sabo is really strong going second, so that makes complete sense. Also Roger, you're 50% overall, but you do want to go second against him. So let's take a look at some Ace deck lists. So I also have my own deck breakdown for Ace, but if you guys wanted to check this out to see what other people are running, so one pilot with 100 games, is it a varied win rate? Valid. Again, I just woke up from a nap. Let's take a look at one that's like crazy high in play rate, just to get more confident stats. So 2,800 games by 418 people. That's a pretty confident data set there, I would say. Let's open this one up in the deck builder. The price of this deck, since I'm pretty sure most of the cards aren't in OP13, 183 for the rest of the deck. Oh yeah, because of the Marco's $76 for a full play set. Looks like kind of half the deck is OP13, so half of these cards you may not be able to get yet. No, it's less than half. There's like what, 4, 8, 12, 16. 16 is what percent of 40? Almost half, actually. Oh, but you have a 50 card deck. I'm sorry, my brain's not working right now. And I kind of all the parts where I sound really crazy and stupid. I know you're not gonna do that. I hate you, editor. Okay, so this ace runs 2 pudding. I think you could even run more, just because like you're gonna face this freaking ace mirror so much, and it's good into Imu too, and it's not searchable in the deck. I guess the Garp can search it, but yeah, 2. I would say 2 minimum, right? And then also 1 Cavendish, very cheeky, just to be able to draw. And then I do notice a trend of people getting off of Tax Spirit. I run 4 Tax Spirit in my deck, so I don't know. I feel Tax Spirit is really good into Imu. I know like Ninebeard kind of does the same thing, but not to the degree that Tax Spirit does, right? I think Tax Spirit, they for sure don't attack. Ninebeard, they can still muster up the Dawn to attack. If it's free to attack, they might as well try to do it. But I know this Ninebeard is more generically good into most other decks, but I don't know. Are you going to face most other decks as often as you're going to face Imu? I feel like Tax Spirit is just like really good into Imu. You're going to need it. That's such a popular matchup that you're going to have to face. So I'm not convinced of running this low of a number of Tax Spirit in favor of Ninebeard. But who knows? They're also not on Yamato anymore. They increased the ratio of Jozu and just cut out Yamato completely. I still like Yamato. I like having it as a rush option. I know Jozu gets rid of your opponent's character potentially, but some of the matchups you're going to face, like well, Imu for example, if they have 7 cards in their trash, you can't bounce anything back with Jozu because their cards can't be removed from the field. So in that case, I do like the Yamato more. I guess I run my ace deck more of an anti-Imu focus kind of deck. And either way, you're going to have a 7k that you can attach 2 Dawn to with the blocker beard here. But I do guess Jozu has counter, but then your leader ability can make any card in your hand into a 2k counter. So personally, I still like Yamato in some form in the deck. I don't want to cut Yamato out completely. Well, I do like Jozu. I run Jozu in my deck too. I just want to share some of the slot with the Rush Yamato, just for flexibility. Also 2 Radical Beam, just for super defense. I guess this is when you're at like 0 life and your opponent tries to Roger you, because Roger is a very popular play in the meta right now. You're a 3 life leader, it's easier to get you to 0. Having Radical Beam up can save you from like a Roger swing. And then 2 Red Rocks for removal. But yeah, this ace is also running 2 Roger. But other than that, the standard is there, like the Otamas and then the Marcos to draw a bunch of cards, Garps and Izo to draw a bunch of cards, and even like Cavendish in this version of it. And this Yamato draws you a bunch of cards too, actually. But yeah, the core identity is there. It's just some of the top end is changed a bit from my deck breakdown. Let's take a look at Roger. So the interesting thing about Roger is that there's a very pivotal card in this deck that isn't going to be available for us on release of OP13. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't even know how I'm going to do my deck breakdown. Do you guys want it with the card included, assuming that you're going to play this deck once that card's released? Or do you want me to like do with what I can do with what's available on release of the set? It's this Roger here, this 8 cost Roger. But yeah, let's just take a look at the stats here. So 59 or 51.9 going first, 58 going second. So it's also another going second deck. A lot of decks these days do better going second, I noticed. And then raw win rate of 54.69. Rawr. Pounces on you. So good into Imu, right? Just being a 7k stat line makes all of his characters harder to attack into you. Also good into Blue Purple Luffy, good into Bonney. Weak into Rayleigh and Zoro and Bonney. So Rayleigh might be relevant in OP13 too. Actually, it seems to beat some of the top decks. Goes 50-50 with Ace, depending on if you're going first or second. And then Sabo, you beat him only going first. Only going second, I mean, taking his good curve away. So let's take a look at Roger Decklist. 45 pilots, 463 games. That's quite a big number. Here's the matchup spread here. So again, just due to the fact that you need this guy and it's a promo card, we don't know how we're going to get it. It's kind of awkward. I guess you could run more of the Ninebeard instead, but I think it does matter that the fact that you can hit this on 8. It makes it a little more lenient whether you're going first or second to be able to play this on the turn that you need it to like make yourself harder to attack into. But let's see what's in the rest of the deck. So runs the Sanji. I do kind of think the Sanji can be any 2k counter. I believe it's only run just to be able to get your Roger to activate, right? You can take your own life with the Sanji, make your characters unblockable. Other than that, it's the 7k attacker that is not searchable in your deck. And for ramp, you have the Buggy to ramp on your 3. And then Bullet to ramp on your 4, and then Mr. 2 to ramp on your 5. Scopper to ramp on your 7. So you have options for whether you're going first or second. It fills out the curve really nicely here. And then Rayleigh. Rayleigh is just a really good card. Even non-Roger decks are running Rayleigh. The Purple Luffy runs this card. And the nice thing with this Roger is you can even drop a Roger plus an Uta when you're at 10 Dawn, right? Because it's a 10k power. It makes this Uta into a 2 cost. You can't do that with any of the other characters in our deck. Unfortunately, Rayleigh's a 9k. I guess you could attach a Dawn to him, but then you won't have 2 Dawn for Uta after that. So that's unfortunate. And you also need a Dawn on your leader if you want to rest something with this guy. But yeah, 1 of Newgate randomly, and then 4 Shanks. Shanks is the better late game to ramp to, which is kind of funny because there is like a 10 cost Roger. This one here, this is supposed to be the boss monster for this deck, but it turned out the Shanks is just better for what you need, right? It mitigates attacks and also can attack right away. This Roger just only mitigates attacks. And then 2 Rush Roger, of course, every deck is running at least two of this right now if you're red, just because it's so good into Imu and Ace. And then Divine Departure as a 3 of, and then 4 of the ramp. This one lets you ramp at 2, so that's also really good. Can we even buy most of this deck? So show prices. Okay, $144. Mr. 2s are actually still quite pricey. 4 of these for 70. And this is the PRB02 version, right? Yeah, it is. 16 bucks. Oh, this is better than before. What else is expensive? The Uta blockers are quite expensive for starter deck 2K. And then the Rogers are $15 a pop. I'm probably gonna estimate this going up even more. It looks like every red deck has been running it, right? So get these Rogers early if you can. Funny lore, if you guys have been following my channel, when I did my OP09 unboxing, I got a case and I pulled like 7 of these guys. I was like, I want the 9 cost Luffy. I'm trying to play purple Luffy, but I just kept getting more and more Rogers. But it looks like it's gonna pay off big time. Okay, the next leader we have is Imu. So going first win rate of 40%, going second of 61. I do think the going first win rate is a symptom of how complicated this deck is to play. So I think, yeah, since we're not looking at ranked games, I think there's a bit of a factor of like inexperience of Imu players making the first win rate going so low, tanking so low here. But going second, it's a lot easier to play Imu going second. You naturally hit to your 10 cost 5 elders really easily that way. So what is Imu good into? Good into green purple Luffy and Bonney and red green Luffy. What is it weak to? Ace if you're going first. Roger if you're going first. Kind of everything if you're going first, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, other than that, it has a positive win rate going second, right? So it is considerably one of the top decks of the meta, probably the top deck. It's debatable. We've seen some Emus beat some of the aces in the 3-on-3 autumn tournament that we casted on our channel too. So let's take a look at the deck list for Imu. Okay, 773 pilots and then 6,633 games. So it's kind of a solved deck at the moment. Everyone's playing the same list, it looks like. So the matchup spread for this deck here on screen, and then we'll take a look at it in the deck builder. So I also have an Imu deck breakdown. You can check it out. It's probably not too different from this. Right, yeah, this Shirahoshi, I don't run it in my deck, but I included in the tech options to explain why it might be good. So yeah, I guess if you want to find out more about this deck, just watch that video of mine. Right, it even runs 2 Stussy for the ace matchup to kill their attack spirit on the clapback. I think I run mine more. I run more Stussy. I run 3. I just value having an answer to the ace that like super counters you, which is also the version of the ace that I run. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Right, I play the 2 decks that hate each other. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything too crazy that's new here. So let's show the price of the deck. There's only a couple cards you can buy early. Right, the Shirahoshi, this Sabo is now out in PRB02. You can buy some Stussies early too. Stussy is also like Roger, another card that like a lot of decks are gonna run. Right, the red black Sabo runs this in a high number too. And then you can get Mary Joa. There's an alt art of this now. Where's it at? I want to see. This one, 30 bucks. Ooh, mama, I got one of these. You can check out my unboxing video to see me pull it. It does look pretty nice, don't it? Okay, so that's Imu. We got red black Sabo, my most recent deck breakdown. So going first 42, going second 61. This one, I don't think I can chalk it up to inexperienced players. I think Sabo just has a really weak going first curve, unfortunately. But what is he good into? Good into Sanji, good into green Luffy, good into Rayleigh, Bonney, good into Ace if you're going second. Good into a lot of decks going second, right? It looks like most of the green is against most of the leaders. It's kind of like the Imu effect, but completely dies to Zoro. That is unfortunate. Whether you're going first or second, it doesn't matter. That guy kills you. And yeah, I kind of felt this too, right? Against Imu and decks like Ace, the games feel really close, but it's just like I feel like they have more late game staying power than you do. So you just, if you don't get them with all your rush right away, which is why I run so much rush in my version of the deck. Let's take a look at the deck list, by the way, before we jump further into that topic there. So 203 games played by 24 pilots. Does not look like my version of the deck, but we'll take a look at it. I'm just curious, are people playing my version of the deck at all? This is the closest one with the 3 red dragons. Should I be biased and open the one that looks closest to my deck? Sure, why not? I mean, the win rates are kind of comparable between them all. I guess it's just pick your poison. So this deck, yeah, the only difference I see is that they're running 4 of the red Betty over the black Koala. I guess that makes sense because Betty searches more deep, but Koala likes to discard. And then in terms of counter events, I run 1 Vortex and 3 Waxing Fist, so they're running 2-2. That's also a viable change. Force to see, I think I'm only running 3 in mine. And I run a hack in place of that because they only have 11, 12, 2k counters. I run 12 in mine. But other than that, yeah, identical everything else. Right? I think this red dragon is actually pretty good into decks like Imu and Ace too. Against decks that don't have such a strong late game, I do think this is like the no-brainer play. Develop a really strong board, outvalue them. But against decks like Blue Purple Luffy, Imu, and Ace that just scale as the game goes on, you want to like get them vulnerable ASAP. So I do really appreciate having this rush attacker that can also activate your leader ability by giving Dawn to yourself. And for the early game, I do believe Hack is the best option here. I don't think Koala or anything else kind of fits at the moment. The new Koala from EB03 might have a place in the deck actually, but the current one, I don't think you would ever want to play Koala over Hack. Everything else is the same. Let's take a look at the price of the deck. Most of these cards are not from OP13. So $76 to buy out most of the deck. All you're missing is like this Garp, which is just a rare. Hack, which is just an uncommon, really cheap. And then the Sabo secret rare, which is a secret rare that's only specific to this deck, so it's not going to be too expensive at all either. So maybe topping out at $100 for this deck once it's fully released, my estimation. Okay, let's take a look at Bonney. So 51 going first, 56 going second, overall 53. Does lose to Imu unfortunately, and Shanks, and Blue Purple Luffy still, but does get into like Zoro and Sabo and Roger and Ace. Does really get into Ace. That might be the saving grace of Bonney here. If you hate Ace, play Bonney. That makes sense because you can rest their like block beards and tax beards because they only play like one big thing. Let's see, this one's 59 people played, 466 games. Here's the matchup spread. Yeah, good into Ace and Zoro here. But yeah, completely dicey Imu unfortunately. So what they run in, no 8-cost kids for the Doflamingo for late game, for Hoodie, for Mihawk, and then this Shanks. I guess, you rest their Blockbeard with your leader ability and then you pop it next turn with the Shanks. That makes complete sense to me. It's like a Stussy without having to pay for anything. It's just straight up free on play KO. Runs this Bonney blocker, but no 8-cost kid to cheat it out. No 8-cost kid strategy in general. Even though they run so many blockers, you would figure it would lend itself to being a pretty viable 8-cost kid strategy. And decks don't really counter it anymore. There's not too much power down in the meta, is there? Right? If you're facing Ace and Imu and Green Zoro, I would imagine 8-cost kid might or should make its way back into the meta, but it looks like that's not the case at the moment. Let's see the prices of the deck. So $144, you can buy this deck outright. It doesn't run any new OP13 cards. Yeah, this Secret Bonney is even more expensive than the Cavendishes now. Makes this deck much more affordable, I would say. And that's Bonney. Green Purple Luffy in OP13. So again, this might have some mucked up PRB02 stats within this, but going first 48, going second 56, overall 52. Dice to Imu, dice to Ace. Dang, I guess that's why Green Purple isn't as popular anymore. This is really bad matchups to have bad matchups into. Also slightly losing into Zoro, but does beat Blue Purple and Sabo. Dang, that's so unfortunate. Okay, so top played decklist 41 pilots and 399 games. Let's open it up. So yeah, it does just run the new Nami and then this Luffy. I think we noticed in PRB02 people aren't running this, but in OP13 they are. So there must be something that something on their 9 Dawn turn or 8 Dawn turn that you want to delay. I guess against Ace on their 8 Dawn turn, if they're going 6 to 8, you can play this Luffy and deny their Iron Whitebeard for a turn. Yeah, that makes sense, right? What other cards are things that you want to prevent on 8? I guess against Roger, you can stop their Rayleigh? I don't know. I couldn't find use of this card myself, but I haven't tested this deck out too much either, so I can't know for sure. Show price is $176. A lot of the decks are kind of similar pricey. So you can just pick your favorite deck to play. Then Thunderbogla got really expensive. $10 each, kind of, like 9-ish. Alrighty. So Blue Purple Luffy, 50 going first, 51 going second, and 51 overall. That's a pretty solid performance here. So it's matchup dependent. It looks like weakened to Pudding and Katakuri. That's unfortunate. Weakened to Zoro, weakened to Green Purple, and then against Imu, if you go second, you can win, but overall lower. Sabo you lose to as well, but you beat Ace. That's really relevant. You beat Ace and Bonney too. Let's open up the deck list then. 20 pilots, 150 games. Matchup spread. Let's open it up. It does run the new Otama. That's cool. You get some card draw here. You can't bounce it back to your hand though, so it's like a 2k out of your hand, right? 2k that you can't defend yourself with, but it might be worth it just to draw more cards. That's like what you do best. And then yeah, they all running this new Roger now. This Sanji cheats this Roger out, makes your leader an AK base. Unfortunately, we won't have this on launch, so what would you run instead? I guess still the Mihawk to bottom deck, a 7-drop, a 4 of the Rush Luffy as well. Yeah, everything else seems standard to what Blue Purple Luffy was running before. You just have a new shiny toy for your late game. Price of the deck, everything but Otama is available now, and the Roger. 172, yeah, again, everything's been like 170, but I guess having these 4 Rogers, however they're gonna release this, I'm pretty sure this might be an expensive card if it's not widely available, unfortunately, which is why I'm gonna play like Imu and Zoro, just because I don't want to deal with having to get these like very niche exclusive cards for these decks to function. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a look at Bonney. So going first 51, going second 54, overall 52. Does die to Ace and Bonney and Sabo and Imu and Roger. So basically you're weak to the top meta, but you're good into some of the off meta decks here, and even favored into Zoro and Blue Purple Luffy. Open her up. One pilot. Let's look for one with more play rate. Okay, I guess this one, 118 people, 580 games. Here's the matchup spread. Ooh, yeah, we saw the weak matchups kind of correlate here as well for this particular deck list. But let's open it up. Okay, runs the Lilith Searcher. What's this Edison do? It's just a 2k counter. Only 2 of the Stussy. Yeah, I'm doing some testing now for my own Bonney video. I feel like it kind of bricks me having 4 of these, so I think 2 makes sense. 1 Kuma, and then 2 ACOS kids for late game, on top of the 4 Bonney. Ooh, only 1 Nami. Huh. I feel like having 5 cost KO is too good not to have this as a 4 of. But this is a very popular list, so it must be working for some people. Actually, let's take a look at one of the higher win rate ones that are less played. I mean, yeah, it's one person playing this, but they played 106 games. That's significant, right? Let's open that one up. Okay, we do see 3 of the Nami and 4 Boa. Is Boa better than Nami? Okay, I guess so. And then 4 Stussy, which I might drop this down to 3 or 2, personally. Late game is just the Bonney only, no kids and no any of the other options. But for events, Blaze Slice and 1 Brûlée for luck, hoping that you get that trigger that saves you. Okay, let's take a look at the price of the deck. $43 for all the currently available cards. Only Lilith the Searcher, needing to wait for OP13 to release, and the Stussy and the Bonney SR, which might not be too cheap. But everything else is dirt cheap. Yellow has been kind of dirt cheap besides Kuma. If you're not running Kuma, you have a really cheap yellow deck. And then lastly, we'll take a look at the last OP13 leader, Red Green Luffy. 43 going first, 47 going second, 45 raw win rate. I swear, when I first did my like Red Green Luffy first impressions video, everyone's like, "You're wrong about him. He's actually so good. It's like one of the top decks. You're so wrong, Cardi Kaizoku." Turns out I was not wrong. This deck is not good. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not in the gutter, right? It does better than a lot of the older leaders just because OP13 is a power creep set. But compared to the other 4 or 5 leaders, how many are there? I'll count it later, but yeah, it's the worst of the OP13 leaders for sure. So loses to Rayleigh, wins against Rayleigh and Sanji, but loses to everything else, basically. Look at that. But we'll take a look at some deck lists here. I think people aren't playing it too often either. A lot of these are kind of low sample size. Or maybe we have to go to like the low win rate area to see like higher deck counts, game counts. Okay, we'll look at this one with 55 games. It's one guy. What's your deck list look like? Or girl? I don't know their gender. Okay, so this deck costs $95. It looks like half the deck is not available because it's OP13. Makes sense because it utilizes the film cards that restand your Dawn. What is this Luffy? Oh, promo Luffy. How are we going to get this one? Is it needed for this deck? Okay, so it's a blocker that can give you 2 Dawn when it dies. I'm going to have to say that this is not mandatory. It doesn't sound like it would be, but let's see. So 2 Nami Searchers, only 2 Searchers, kind of random. It runs 4 Garp, and it runs only 2 of the Uta and 2 of the Zoro. I know the strategy revolves around this Sanji, and then the Law to cheat it out. Oh, it's not even running the Law. Maybe I don't know how this deck plays at all, if the 6 cost Law is not in this deck. Is that right? Let me take a look at another deck list. This one's not running it either. You don't run the 6 cost Law in this deck? Oh, this guy's running it. Wait, let me try to figure out how this deck works. I actually haven't tried playing him. I only played against him. I know you play characters out and get Dawn back so that you can like counter. You leave a bunch of Dawn up to counter to protect your characters and your life. Then you get to late game and you play Zoro and then try to take the game away from there. Is that how this works? But I figure like with the freaking the Law, you can poop out bodies on board to like have a board presence while defending them. But I guess not. Okay. And then 3 Dead Man's Games. And what does this event do? You can keep 2 7 costs rested. Okay, so it's like a Electrical Luna that can work as counter. And then Charleston is like a counter that gives you Dawn back, so you can keep using your leader ability to counter. This is actually what 10k counter for 2 actually in our deck. Crazy. And yeah, Shanks just gives you all your Dawn back to counter with. But yeah, I guess there's no solidified Red Green Luffy list, it looks like. Everyone's running like their own variation of it. So that could be it too. People just haven't figured the deck out. I guess I'll give it a shot. I probably won't be the one who solves it, but I'll work on it, do my best to contribute what I can contribute to Red Green Luffy research. Okay, and that's the video. We actually talked a lot. Dang. my recording says I've been talking for 37 minutes straight. But I'm going to be cutting out a lot of the silences and awkward parts, so it'll be shorter than that. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of my OP13 meta-analysis. I know it's quite a ways away, but it's literally less than a month, actually. So let's get ready for it early. PRB02 is going to come and go really quickly. Let me know if you guys want me to do another OP13 meta-analysis next week if I should continue doing it, because I know PRB02 data is going to get more clean next week, so I could switch back to that. Or if you want me to do both of these going forward, like PRB02 and OP13 in 2 separate videos, I could do that too. I do it how you guys like, so just let me know in the comments below. And yeah, of course, based on the performance of the videos too. If you have any feedback, let me know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, I would appreciate it. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.
Car D Kaizoku.